This is the Recovery Lab.
Here we dive deep into the struggles, victories, and hope that stem from recovery.
No shame, no judgment, just truth, grace, and inspiration.
Let's walk this road together.
Hey guys, welcome to Recovery Lab. This is episode 112. I'm Brynn Knox. We got Daniel Anderson behind the scenes over there, and
I'm David Sugg.
And we welcome you today for a really, really good episode. And David, who's this episode brought to us by?
Yeah, we're excited. This episode is brought to you this week by Sons of Sobriety. Recovery Lab podcast is made possible by that motorcycle club. This isn't your average club. The Sons of Sobriety was born to kill the stigma, proving that living clean can be fun as hell. We ride for the thrill and the cause. If you're sober, fight to be, and ready to ride with purpose, this is your crew. Red, black, and clean. The Sons of Sobriety Motorcycle Club was formed in 2025. You can call or text Daniel Anderson at 601-672-6591 to join the movement. We're super excited about it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah. All right. Well, happy Sunday, guys. I do want to give a quick shout out before we start and get into our guest. I wanted to say the Dash and Splash is going to be, it's a 5K on June 28th at 8 a.m. It's, there's going to be water slides, watermelon, water balloon bash. It's really cool. It's brought to you by the Brain Injury Association. Erin Rees she's going to be a guest on our show here next month, and she's a really close friend of mine in recovery. And so, this is something she's really passionate about, and so I just want to bring attention to it. June 28th. You're probably going to hear that from me for the next few weeks. Cool. So if you don't have anything to do that day, it's going to be something really fun. And since there's not like a big requirement of having to actually run the whole way, I might even do it.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get started. David, why don't you introduce our guest today? Because y'all have had quite a week already, right?
Yeah. So Adam and Erin Rees, owners, operators of Comeback CrossFit in Clinton, Mississippi. Very, very cool box. I love if we're having a guest that's doing something cool, has a business or anything, I love to get out and kind of visit with them, get a session in, whatever it is, whether it's therapy or some kind of cryo, whatever the heck. But y'all have CrossFit, and I was like, I'm going to come out there and I'm going to get a session in with y'all. And fortunately, y'all have on Wednesday nights a class just for that, for people in recovery. And you invited me out. It was kind of kismet. It was kind of just like meant to be. But I go out there and there's like all these people in early recovery. It just like blew me away. But I got to say, my butt is still sore. I'm so sore. Like, I mean, it just like tore me. As I get older, that lactic acid hangs around like a drunk after last call, will not go away. And I'm still hurting. And I move a lot throughout the week, but it has really been, but it was so cool to see y'all in an element, you know, really, really reaching out to people who need to get moving again, who have probably a real hard time being in group environments, doing hard stuff, and y'all were just so encouraging. I saw you in the back whenever we had the little AA meeting afterwards. I don't know if you were praying or if you were just kind of listening, but I mean, just to see you like not just check out, you know, you were still there the whole time. So I could see that y'all as a couple are just like really united in this idea of getting moving, supporting alcoholics and addicts, and really, really trying to change lives through CrossFit. That's why I'm super excited to hear what y'all guys say. But first, the nitty gritty. I want to know when you got sober and when you were thinking about reopening this gym. How long was it? What was the idea to action moment like? Like when you first thought about doing this, and how were you going to try to incorporate all this stuff you got going on now?
Okay. So I got sober February 25th of 2021. And when I came home, we were kind of in that process of like, what's life going to look like now? Like there had been a lot of chaos in our life, obviously, from my addiction. And so we started doing CrossFit back in our garage, which was how we started way back when we had another gym at the time. And so we started doing it in the garage together. Our kids got back involved with us, and it just became a building block of rebuilding what our marriage was going to look like, our family was going to look like, and this thing we were doing together. And in that, we started having these conversations of like, there's got to be something here. Like, there's got to be something. And what does this look like? And crazy thing, I was on Facebook and this article from Rolling Stones popped up about this guy in Ohio, Portsmouth, Ohio. Shout out Del King. And he had a gym, and he was bringing in people. Like, he was busing people from treatment centers to his gym. And I was like, what are the chances I'll ever hear back from him? But I'm going to email him and just say, like, hey, I want to know more about what you're doing. He responded, and he was like, come up here and see. And so we did. We planned a trip. We went up there in November of 2023. Yeah, almost 2 years ago. And so went up there and just was blown away by it. And we were like, okay, this is it. Like, he brought them in. We did a workout. They did what they call like a brief afterwards. And we came home and started praying about it. And things just started falling into place. I got recertified as a CrossFit coach at the time and just started really praying about it. And it just kind of became CrossFit Comeback after that. And we just started thinking about how we were going to start with the foundation of just a CrossFit gym and have people come, have members. And then we were going to, after a little bit of time, implement the Wednesday night class and get people coming and see what that would look like. And just knowing that doing this hard thing together, like CrossFit, it creates a bond. I mean, it's just kind of like what you have when you go into a meeting, like into an AA room. Like, you have this bond because you've walked through something together. And CrossFit kind of creates that same tone of you're sweaty, you're pushing yourself, you're challenging yourself, and then afterwards, conversations naturally happen. And so we thought, okay, we could do this and make a meeting out of it and encourage people. And so, yeah, that's how Comeback came to be.
So the gym that you visited in Ohio, was that a CrossFit gym?
Yes, it was. And so they are in a town that was overrun by the opioid epidemic really bad. Like, they just about have a treatment center on every corner in that town. And just a very... he is a veteran and kind of came home to a town that had been destroyed by drugs and just really felt like, hey, we need to do something here for the community. And that's where his vision came from. And so we just kind of picked up with what he did and brought it back here. And it looks a little different from his, but the concept is the same. Like, there's people that need community really bad and they need an outlet, and CrossFit can provide that. So... yeah.
Just real quick, Adam, would you mind telling us kind of what CrossFit, for listeners that have never been in a box before, have never seen it, kind of give us the 30,000-foot view of CrossFit?
Okay. Well, the definition of CrossFit is functional movement, constantly varied functional movement performed at high intensity.
Wait, say that again.
Sounds like sobriety.
That's true.
So constantly varied functional movements performed at high intensity. Okay. So what that means is we do movements that carry over into everyday life. Squats, deadlifts, picking things up, putting things over your head, putting things on a high shelf. That's just a couple of examples of things we do. But I mean, it would take a really long time to get more into detail about what we do. But it's the program really just it's the way your body is naturally meant to move anyway. And then so all these workouts, they kind of build on each other. It's different day to day. It's not going to the gym and working legs, one day a week, or maybe most people skip legs totally, but, doing arms and then shoulders. And, it's not like that. It's a full body workout pretty much every day.
Every day.
I mean, it's the bias is different from day to day, but it's a full body movement, every day.
And they're typically always groups.
Always
class setting.
And I noticed y'all had several coaches. This is the first box that I've been in that's just like there were the ratio of participants to coaches. Is that something that y'all kind of brought, or is that something y'all have seen? Because I've never seen that many red shirts run around saying, hey, try this, try that.
So for the recovery class, we have more on hand, just because we are dealing with a lot of people with different functionality, different levels of fitness, maybe never done anything. And so to make sure that everybody is recognized and seen and helped, we do have more there. For the typical CrossFit class, we have one coach there. So, yeah.
I would like to talk a little bit about, can we rewind the clock a little bit and talk about the tough times? Do you mind? So you got sober February 25th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what was life like February 20th through the 24th?
I was in a hotel, binge drinking in the dark, thinking that I was going to die. And on like February 20th, Adam actually came home. He had taken the kids to my in-laws. I did not know that at the time, and woke me up and just said, "Hey, can't do this anymore. You got to find somewhere else to go." And he said, "I've got to take care of our children, and there's too much chaos." And he was like, "You got to leave." And so I did what any typical alcoholic did. I went and found a place that I could keep drinking, and I did that for a couple of days, and then, only God could intervene in something like that. I Googled a rehab, did not pull up any rehabs locally. I ended up in Miami. Yes. So, like everybody, a lot of my closer friends in recovery make me tell this story all the time because they think it's hilarious, because I ended up like literally being picked up at an airport by this 6-foot linebacker, being put into a van. And I'm like, at this point, texting him like, "You may never see me again. Like, I don't know where this has taken me." But it actually took me to an incredible rehab place. I got beyond the help I needed. Just incredible people there that worked.
What was that experience like in there?
It was scary. I was put in with a variety of levels of addiction at the time. And
Did that make you feel like you weren't that bad? Does that make sense? Like, no, I'm not as bad as these people.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that in some ways, some of their stories, I was like, wow, this could have ended a lot different for me, or my consequences for my actions could be a lot heavier than they are. So I was thankful for that. But I felt so low and so much shame and regret for where I was. I never really saw myself thinking that like, wow, I'm glad I'm not as bad as them. I think I was just like, wow, I've really gotten myself into a situation here that I cannot get out of, and I need to think about what this needs to look like going forward. So, yeah.
What was the day-to-day there like? Was it just groups throughout the day?
It was groups. We had some great counselors in therapy, so you did a lot of one-on-ones, and then we would do groups, and then we would do like activities and things like that throughout the day, keep us moving. I mean, we'd go for walks, typical things like that. And but yeah, I mean, I don't know kind of the rundown of other treatment facilities, but I would feel like it was probably similar to most, in the sense that we were in groups like 4 times a day and then meeting with the therapist once a day.
Was it 12-step based? Did you work the steps in there?
Yes, it was. They were very great in having me prepared to come back, get a sponsor, and get working the steps. Like they really talked about that a lot. And so, I mean, they were like, when you get home, do not waste time finding a sponsor and do not waste time getting started. And that's what I did. I mean, I came home and within a day I had a sponsor, and I was going to meetings, and I was really like hit the ground running when I got back. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
When you visited her, it was time to make a change. Where did you find that strength, that direction? Like, what was going on in your world to make that? Because that's tough.
That was the hardest thing I've ever done. And it was years in the making. Because, I mean, we drank together, and to me, it was no big deal. But there were times where I thought this may not be a good thing, and it had peaks and valleys. It'd get worse and it'd get better, worse and better. And finally, just the worse was happening a lot more often than the better. And I just kind of knew that's what was going to have to happen. But what kept me from doing that is I wasn't ready to kick my kid's mom out of the house. I had to be ready to be single, because I didn't know how she was going to react. So I came to that point after years saying, okay, I can handle that if I have to. But I still wasn't ready for them to not be able to wake up in the same house as their mom.
Were you working with a support network, a church, Al-Anon, or anything? Did you have? No, wow.
But finally, when we had gone to church, that was on a Sunday morning, we had gone to church, and something told me just to look at the vodka bottle before we left, because we had drank that night before. So I looked at it, and I knew where it was, in the bottle there. And when we came home from church, me and the kids, it was about 1.5 inches lower. So that was it. That's when I told the kids, you got to go to.
And that was like 8 in the morning.
Yeah.
Too, so,
Well, yeah.
at the time.
So yeah, it was. It's not. It doesn't compare to the things she's fought through, but that was the hardest part of it.
Yeah.
For me.
Wow.
I can't imagine.
I think we're also lucky that I have a family member. I mean, my mom was that family member at times, the one that would say no. No
Yeah.
more. Like draw a line in the sand, to have that person that would love so much, and you just kind of look at it as like, if this person who loves me more than anything in the world is saying it's time to make a change, like, I've got to listen.
Yeah.
With my friends and teachers and all, like cops, I'm not listening to a cop for nothing. But when the person you love the most, has your back, says it's time. My sister did that too at times, and it was just like, I got to listen. So kudos to you for doing it, because that's so hard, because you're worried. Like, yeah, you're ready. Am I prepared to be single, or am I prepared for my child to leave and never come back because of what I'm about to say? But doing that, so kudos for your bravery and to doing that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
I have so much respect for mamas who leave and go to treatment, because it's just, I don't know about you, but for me, it was like I was drunk all the time, with my son around. I was driving him around. I was driving him to school. I also drank like in the morning, and would make sure I had a drink when I woke up towards the end there. And even all of that behavior, I still didn't want to leave him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was so hard. And being there was so hard. And Mother's Day happened there, and it was so hard. His birthday happened. And it's like, I missed him like so much. And I know a lot of moms get scared about leaving their kids to go to treatment, but it's so incredibly important, because you're not actively being the mom that you're supposed to be anyways. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I tell new moms, or not new moms, but moms that are in new recovery, I'm like, this is such a small span of your kid's life in comparison to having them for the rest of their lives being healthy. Like, it feels giant for you to leave them for a few weeks to go get help, but what is a few weeks to years in the rest of their lives of you being healthy?
Exactly.
And that is so hard. I get it. It's so hard. And, there's so much shame. Recently I was talking to a new mom she is a pretty new mom too, but who is in new sobriety. And I was just telling her that you have to know that in addiction, your love for your child is completely separate from your addiction. Like, we, as a mom, we bring it all together. Like, I must not love my child enough because I'm not staying sober for my child. But reality, the love of my kids didn't change. I was an alcoholic, and those two things are completely separate, and you cannot combine them when you're looking at yourself as a mom. Like, I would never in my right mind drive drunk with my kids in the car, but I did because I'm an alcoholic, and you don't make normal decisions when you're in your addiction.
Right.
And so to separate that shame, I mean, it takes time. It took me time, but to really understand that and separate that shame of, because I made those decisions, it did not mean I didn't love my kids. It didn't. Of course I loved them. It just meant I was an alcoholic, and I made decisions I wouldn't normally make if I was sober. And I mean, that's just a huge difference. And it's hard to wrap your mind around that when you're a mom in early sobriety, for sure.
Wow, that's so good. If you're a mama and you're struggling right now, rewind this like 2 minutes and listen to that again. Like, hear that again one more time, because that's so good and it's so true. I've never heard it explained like that, about it being separate,
Yeah, absolutely.
Whew.
Was there ever any times in your drinking where you thought before that, like, this is not right, this is out of control, this is like
for sure.
waking up in the morning or anything that just?
So to give a little glimpse, and this is Cliff Note version, but just to kind of explain my background. So I am a baby of 5, and my brothers and sisters were a lot older than me. So when my brothers and sisters were in college, I was born. So I was like
Oh, wow.
raised like an only child, and grew up in a loving home. I mean, nobody's perfect. No parents are perfect, clearly. And but I have a lot of great memories growing up, but very early on, I realized that something was going on with my sisters and my brothers. Like there was something there, and too young to understand at the time. But as I got older, I was like, okay, we have addiction here. So when we were talking before we got started, and you asked kind of when it really kicked off. So I was pregnant with my son in 2007, and my brother David committed suicide. So he was in addiction and just had a lot of things going on behind closed doors. So yes, that was the first tick of it really taking off, because there was some postpartum there plus trauma. Then fast forward a few years later, both of my sisters committed suicide. So
What?
they were a year apart. They were anorexic. One of my sisters struggled with anorexia and was like 65 pounds when she died. And then my other sister was into drugs and alcohol as well. And so we walked through that. So we had lost 3 in that. And then in 2018, my dad died of cancer. So that was when it really, really took off. And then from 2018 to 2021, I was like off to the races, because it really was. And I lost a nephew to suicide also in that time. And at 2018, when my dad died, I was like in the hospital, and I just remember thinking, nobody's going to tell me now. Like, nobody's going to tell me that I don't have this reason to drink or to do whatever I was doing or the behavior I had. And so, yeah, so the writing was on the wall for me. Like, I knew in my addiction and in my alcohol, I would lay awake and just think, I'm going to die. Like, I'm going to die, because I know how this ends. Like, I am in a family that is like filled with addiction and mental illness. And if I don't get help, I know how this is going to end. But then there was the other part of me of like, I can do this myself. Like, I can do this. Like, I can do this myself. I can figure this out. Like, I'm not going to be them. I'm going to figure it out. And I lived in that war of, I'm going to die, but I got to figure this out. And then, and so, yeah. And then he did not commit suicide, but then my final brother died last summer of a heart attack. And so I'm the only one left now. And so it's just me and my mom. And
How is she doing?
my mom is like literally one of the strongest people I know. It blows me away, because she owned a restaurant. Her and my daddy owned it together for a long time.
What restaurant?
It was called Seasonings. It's in Kosciuszko. So
Okay.
everybody loved it. It was a little old house. She did like lunch specials and was there for 20-something years. And people just came from everywhere to eat there. And so she just recently, like a little over a year ago, closed it, and still serves people in the community, cooks for them, and does things. She's 81 years old and still just keeps going. And I honestly believe, just like us in our addiction, like service helps us stay sober. I think service helped her through her grief and through all the loss, because she just kept showing up and cooking and doing things for people that otherwise I just don't know how you would manage it. But me and her, we kind of stick together right now.
Yeah.
and in what we've walked through. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
You've been through it.
yeah.
She's been through it.
Yeah, we have.
And you had every excuse in the world to keep drinking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I used that for a long time, because I was like, nobody knows this, and nobody can tell me I can't do this, and nobody knows what I've been through, and there's a lot of truth to that, but I really did. I used that for a long time. So
If you don't mind me asking, did you ever struggle with suicidal ideation or any of that with it being so present?
I had somebody ask me that a few days ago. I've never really thought I want to kill myself, but I have thought if I don't get help, I'm going to die because this is how this ends. And I would think, like, I don't know how I would come back. Like, if I had done something, hurt my kids, or any kind of situation that I put them in or myself in, if I would have done something, I don't know that wouldn't have been the thought process for me.
Yeah.
So I never had really the thought that I was wanted to kill myself, but there definitely was moments of, I think if this keeps going at the rate it's going, I may die. And maybe that was me saying I might kill myself. I just never used those words.
I gotcha.
So,
Yeah, I remember that feeling of like being so low and being so just stuck in this thing and wondering like, I just feeling like it's never going to get any better. And I would have the thought in my mind of like, this might kill me or something might happen. And it was almost like I was just kind of okay with it if it did. Like I would like let the cards fall where they may.
Yeah.
You know, that's so sad to think about because life gets so much better.
It does. It does. You know, I mean, I can't imagine not being where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How many kids do you have?
I have 2. We have a daughter who is she's 20. She's getting married this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then we have it's crazy that we are at that phase of life. Like, we were sitting around coffee talking about the wedding budget this morning.
Oh, man.
You know, Dad's having a hard time with
Let's
it.
don't talk about
Yeah.
He's like, this is my excuse to drink.
Yeah. And then we, so her name's Olivia. She's a huge part. She was at the gym Wednesday night. She's one of our CrossFit coaches.
Oh, nice.
She's a huge part of the recovery community. Like, man, she loves them and loves being up there. And it's so fun to see that like connection she has with everybody. And, you know, she lives our story out loud. And then we have our son, Wyatt, who's about to be a senior in high school. And he's the same way. Like we all kind of we live in this space of we're not ashamed of what we've walked through as a family. And we talk about it openly. Like, they're like, hey, Mom, are you headed to a meeting? Or,
I love
you
that.
know, like what's going on? And we don't have any secrets with them about anything that we walk through. And so they're not going to hear anything today or any time that they don't already know, you know? So, and
that's so healthy.
Yes,
I love that you guys do that.
It is. And it's given them some power too, like some confidence in just walking with life because they've walked through this hard thing and we've overcome it as a family. And it carries them out into their world of like, hey, we've done this. Like, we're good. Like, we can handle what's coming. And you can really see that in both of them. So, yeah.
Do you get worried about, you know, this is such a genetic thing, you know, like, do you get worried about that with them? Do you have those conversations with them? How do you, because I worry about that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So our conversation with them is, hey, you got a 50-50 shot. I mean, his family is completely normal in their relationship with alcohol. Like, they are take it or leave it.
That's so annoying.
I know, right? It is the most annoying thing ever. I'm like, God, like, man, I hate this. So, God bless them. I need to say, like, I have incredible in-laws. Like, they have loved me in my darkest and forgiven me. So, not going to go down that road. But yeah, so we tell them, like, hey, we have a 50-50 shot of what your outcome is. And we'll look at Olivia and Wyatt both and say, hey, you may never have a problem with it. And Wyatt, you might. And vice versa. And thanks. I hope I don't need it again. But you are going to have to make those choices for yourself. We're not going to guide you in that. We're not going to tell you don't ever drink. I mean, I raised in a home that my parents didn't drink. They didn't do anything. And this was a part of our family story. And so that's our conversation with them. And we have to stand back as parents, which is hard, and let them make those decisions and just pray that if there's signs of it, they recognize it and are able to correct and redirect their path before it gets out of hand, and that's all we can do. So, and I think that they are hyper aware of their consequences if it is a problem, just in their own lives, like how it can affect just from seeing what we've walked through. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I have another question. Sorry, I feel like I have so many questions.
It's okay.
Okay, and this is random, but so obviously you work out a lot. And your sister struggled with anorexia. Did you ever struggle with body image or any of that?
I was not saying that way. I mean, I would say that possibly the normal body image issues that I feel like most women struggle with. Yes, I would say, just wanting to lose the weight or look a certain way or things like that. But that was never, not eating was never my thing.
Right. Never had a problem.
That was never the issue. So no, my addiction never looked like that in any way. Mine was only ever alcohol.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
The recovery community needs a lot of support, needs a lot of stuff. It needs like a 12-step meeting. It might be Celebrate. It might be AA. It might be NA. But they go to meetings. They go to therapy. They do a lot of different things. I can tell by the people that are showing up in your gym how many there are. Y'all are filling some kind of a need because people are coming. People are coming. They're joining up. They're really enjoying what you're doing. Do you know what you're feeling? That's kind of like, what is it that people in recovery are just so attracted to what y'all got going on? Because there obviously are. That thing was packed out. I don't know if we could have taken more people, and everybody was saying, "I'm coming back next time. You should come back. I'm going to invite so and so." It's like, what is it about the recovery community that's so magnetized to what y'all got going on? What is it?
Good question.
And Adam may be able to add some to this too. I think, okay, so you're going to meetings and you're focusing on your recovery and you're doing these steps and you're doing these hard things, okay? And that is essential to getting sober. When you come to our gym and you do the recovery, I think it's that there are people, our coaches, our community, that are seeing you and encouraging you to do something you've never done and then telling you you're doing incredible, because they are. I mean, if you just show up to one of our classes, you've done more than most, And so, and I think there's just this need of being told that you're capable, like, yeah, you're getting that in AA, but like everyday life, are you doing things that are hard, that's challenging you? And then is there somebody telling you that you're doing a good job and that you're capable of more? Like you're capable of pushing yourself a little bit further and being seen. I mean, it is so important to me that when people come to that, to the class on Wednesday nights, that they felt seen. Like we remember their names, we're cheering them on, we're helping them do the workout. And I think that feeling of being in something that's outside of the rooms, but still makes them feel like they can do this hard stuff and they're encouraged by it and they're accomplishing things that they never thought that they would do. I mean, you were talking about one of the older ladies that comes, and she was barely moving, but she was loving it. And,
for her,
you know, I mean, we have some that they're like, we never thought we would do this, and we can. And we have some that come in and they are scared to death. I mean, you can see it on their faces. They are scared to death when they walk in about what it's about to happen. And then by the end of it, they're like, we're coming back. I did not know I could do that. And I think it's just that element of being in a different environment and seeing that you can still do some hard stuff and find out that you're capable of more. And that's just needed. I mean, I mean,
and I think, it's a set aside class for people in recovery, but the coaches don't treat those athletes any different than our other classes.
Yeah, they're incredible.
We don't cater to them any differently than we would somebody walking into just a normal class. Because all of CrossFit can be modified or scaled to fit a person's fitness level and ability level. And we do that every day, all day. So I do think there's a part to it to where they don't feel looked at differently. because maybe they are looked at differently in other things they do in life. And then the other side of that is that CrossFit itself is addictive. Yeah, it just is. I mean, speaking as a non-addict, I'm never going to quit CrossFit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I've tried.
Mhm.
Can't.
Yeah, it just
So.
feels that niche that we have, that thing that we have, that we need to be doing something. And and we have, I mean, this is kind of like just a side note, but our coaches and community, aside from the recovery, I mean, they're incredible, because we had this vision for this gym. And I laugh all the time because it really is. I mean, we really started with that whole like field of dreams motto. Like, if you build it, they will come. Like, and we would say that. Like, except Adam would be like, if we build it, they will come back. And and so, but we really started believing in that it's never too late for a comeback. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in life, whether it's addiction or you're a stay-at-home mom, isolated, just feeling like you can't take care of yourself. Like, it doesn't matter where you are on the level of needing a change. And we really feel like we built a building with a vision, and then the people that showed up did the rest. Like, they and the coaches that we have and the staff that we have there, like, they just, it's incredible to me. Like, they so got on board with what we were doing that I don't feel like we've had to do much, like, other than just keep encouraging and keep putting it out there that we want people to be there. But our community and our coaches, like, they do so much of the getting people there. And so that has just been incredible to me, of just how everybody there is so on board with what the community and the atmosphere and the vision of our place is, and so that's just shout out to the community and the coaches for sure.
Yeah. A community definitely makes a place. And I can only imagine, like, because, that feeling you get within the four walls of AA and how it's just such a bond. So I can't imagine how good that feeling is doing something really hard, and doing it together, like physically, I bet that is just the coolest thing.
It is. It really is.
When I was in treatment, that was the first time because I went to treatment and I was very frail, just a good old heroin addict that, I didn't have any muscle mass or anything. And we had gym every day. And at first it was the worst part of my day. Because I was like, I don't want to go in there. But when I started putting effort in after like week one, because we had a really good gym teacher, Matt Aubrey, he just he pushed you, but also made you feel like you were capable, like you were saying. And as I got stronger and stronger, like you said, like I got like addicted to it. Yeah. Like I had to like, my punishment one day was I wasn't allowed to do it. And I had to stay upstairs while everyone else got to go to gym. I was so mad. Yeah. And so I did get very, addicted to it. It is such a good feeling, like being strong,
Yeah.
Because I came from such a very weak place physically.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And you see changes pretty quick with CrossFit in general.
Yes.
I mean, there's a not just the exercise, but just kind of the whole community, the encouragement, and then the diet. There's different. Different. Do y'all have a diet program? Do y'all try to get?
There's kind of a CrossFit, I guess, prescription of nutrition that they. And I can't quote it. I used to quote it back in the day.
What we usually say is more protein, more water, less sugar.
Yes, that's our
thing. If you can do
that,
that's a huge change probably from what you're already doing. Yeah. And doing that combined with CrossFit, it's going to work.
Yeah.
As alcoholics, especially me, I've had an issue with food. I mean, I love sugar.
Yeah,
I love sugar.
Too.
And when I start eating, the obsession, it kicks off.
Yes.
I don't do a bowl of ice cream. When I bring the gallon home, it's like I'm eating Tacoma. And then I say when I do like start watching what I eat, my first rule is just don't eat ice cream in the bed. And that's progress. Just eat it on the couch and then keep it in the kitchen. But sugar, I think for alcoholics, in fact, there's been a prescription like to helping people get off when they're sobering up. They recommend it's in the big book. Give them small amounts of chocolate. Give them some sugar.
Mhm.
We
Yes,
brought
they
that up
did.
every day in treatment.
Yeah, candy.
It's a
We
real
had candy
thing.
all the time. Yeah.
And so when we do get sober, a lot of us turn immediately to food.
Yes.
Immediately to that junk food, that comfort food, whatever it is. So I think just like having that double whammy of like get moving, clean up your diet, hang around some community, is you can really get some real growth. And that's what we get fired up about when we start seeing progress.
Yes, absolutely.
You know, when we start seeing like, oh, I feel a little different and I'm sleeping better and I'm moving and now some of these ailments are going away and I can pick things up. That's what I love the most about, which it's not just get buff, let's get in here and work
Yeah.
out. There's this whole thing going on in a community like y'all's. But I'm not sure if y'all are working with any of the newcomers or anything, kind of talking about that. But that was huge.
Well, I know for me, like that, the ice cream, the sugar, I gained like 70 pounds when I got sober, and then I lost it like in the last like year and a half. And but my mindset was, well, I'm not drinking, so I'm gonna have this cookie and ice cream because I used to be drinking, but now I'm not.
Yeah.
So this is not bad. And I was like consumed with it. It just went from alcohol to food, and then in the last year and a half, I started working to correct that and get healthy and just that way as well. But yeah, definitely we really see that in new recovery, just taking on a different form. And so really trying to guide people in that is, you know, of course we want to. We don't think that it's going to look perfect either. And so small changes can go a long way if you're moving your body. I mean, it does not have to be drastic in the beginning at all to see results at the gym for sure.
Like what kind of small changes?
Just what he was saying,
More
the protein, the water, the less sugar, you know, just cut back on things like that. And you will see a difference. If you're just doing CrossFit consistently, you will see a major change. And then down the road, if you're ready to hit some more goals, well then dial it in more, get more where you're logging things or keeping up with things if you want to. And you know, have goals, but that is not necessary. Or I mean, it's not necessary ever, but it's not necessary in the beginning.
Well, but when people ask that question about diet and nutrition, they want it to be difficult. Like they want it. They want to be given like you got to do this and this and this and
Right.
that, and you got to track everything from the beginning. You don't.
Yeah,
That's a good point. Why do we want it to be difficult?
I know, but the thing is, if you gave them that to do, they wouldn't do it anyway.
Yeah.
So why not just drink more water, eat more protein, and eat less sugar, and
So
drink less sugar?
boring.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you drink more than you eat, probably.
Oh yeah, I'm
For
terrible
most
about
people.
that. Yeah.
But it really, it's simple, but it's hard.
Yeah. Now I can't stop thinking about this pie. Have y'all had
Yeah.
the pie, the peanut butter pie from Primo's?
Oh,
Oh, I love
We
anything
had-
peanut butter though. So
We had one in the fridge this past week for about 48 hours because I would just go in there with a fork. I wouldn't even get a plate. I would just
yeah,
start eating away. And then
Yes.
I'm so funny because I want like immediate results, you know? So like if one night a week I don't go in there and like eat some cookies or something, I'm not snacking tonight. And I go to bed and I wake up the next morning. I'm like, I'm going to see if I'm at my goal weight.
yeah, like you've lost a few pounds. Absolutely, yeah. We definitely
It's ridiculous.
want it to be fast, and you know, consistency is the key. I mean, it's just like in recovery, like we got to keep showing up, and it's the same thing in the gym for us too. So yeah.
tell me a little bit about that. Outside of the gym, what's your recovery life look like? What do you do? How do you do the day to day?
Okay, so day to day, well, I'm in a girls group on Monday nights.
Where?
My sponsor holds a little meeting at her house.
What's her
And so-
address? I'm kidding.
Oh my
Bring a
gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah, she holds it for her sponsees, and all the way down, and we do a big book study. So we usually get through 2 sentences of the big book. So by this rate, I'll be still doing it when we're 80. But we love it, and it's just a great time for us to check in on each other, talk about real life stuff outside of a structured meeting setting, a little
Right.
bit more laid back. I go to Serenity of Purpose as my home group, and so we do that, and then and then doing our stuff at the gym, interacting with people in recovery, and then our Wednesday night workout and meeting is pretty much what my week looks like. So
How many at your sponsors meetings? Like 5 or like 20 women? showing up?
it depends. Sometimes we'll have about 5. Sometimes we'll have like 8 to 10.
Okay,
So,
cool.
yeah, it depends.
That's cool.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun. It's a
Yeah.
great group. So yeah. So that's what that looks like for
I
us.
have a few meetings that I go to where it's like it's really it's smaller and like the ego, the win. You know, some people share
Yeah.
and they're trying to
Yeah.
win the meeting. It's like
Yeah.
here goes this guy.
Yeah.
again, you know, it's like but in that small intimate things, it's just like there's a completely different
It is.
vibe. I love that. So I'm happy you get to experience that.
Yes,
And
it
if
really
your
is.
listeners are 12 step and you're looking for go smaller sometimes instead of going to bigger. Go smaller, get more intimate, get to know some people and just stick with it and see what happens. If you have the opportunity to do like a big book study or something at somebody's home,
Yeah,
do it because that's where
absolutely.
that's really build some relationships and really get to.
Yeah, some of my closest friends are in there.
Oh, yeah.
For sure now. And that I wouldn't have those relationships if it wasn't for that small Monday night
Yeah.
meeting. So, and most of them come to the gym on Wednesday nights too. So that's cool.
Cool.
So yeah.
You mentioned church before. That's
Mm-hmm.
whenever you noticed the vodka bottle had gone down. Was a church? Are y'all still pretty active in the same church? Or y'all,
I would not say so.
No, the
we
church we're
weren't
going
in
to
that.
then is
We're not in
different
that
than the
church
church we go to
anymore.
now.
Yeah. So it is a part of our life. I will say there was some struggles there just because of what I was very before getting sober. I was very like I felt like I had to be doing things for God to love me. Like my relationship with God was much different than it is now. And I find a lot of my faith and my relationship with God comes from a lot of just the conversations and community that I have in recovery. And not to say necessarily that that's completely replaced my church life, but I would say that I have bigger connections with that than I necessarily do in my church life now. And so that's church and sobriety has kind of been a back and forth for Adam and I. So on just what that should look like now.
Yeah.
So no, we're good. Don't go there.
I know it's been difficult for me. I grew up in a Presbyterian church, and I get that. There was a certain set of rules. There was a certain set of language I had to use. Church for me, also when I was growing up, was it was just very theology based. Like we really
Yes.
we feel like we went to Sunday school and went to things to kind of learn more about it so we would know more about it
Yeah.
instead of like live more about it. And then when I got sober and people were just like, man, just suit up, show up, do the next right thing. It was so opposite of this, like, I've got to learn what it means to take the sacrament of the Lord's Supper.
Yeah.
You know, I've got to learn what it means to say the Lord. Instead, just like, no, pray this prayer. Maybe if it works for you, just ask God to help you
Yes.
in your own language. Is like, I can do that.
Right.
It's like, you can talk to him however you want. It's like, however
Right.
I want. Like, no, that was never. I had to be in a certain place in a certain way and just be able to say, no, God, I don't know what to do here. Will you show up?
Right.
It felt almost heretical. It was
Right.
like, you can't do that. This is crazy. So AA for me has been illuminating, but at the same time, it's kind of made me put up some of those old dogma, just like that old stuff.
Yes.
So it's been hard for me now to get back involved in the church.
Yeah.
Your church life is a big part of your life, your recovery world.
Yeah.
You're making that thing happen that symbiotically amazing. How's that working?
It's working so good. I mean, like, I go to church to worship this God who has just like saved my life from like the darkest depths and just done so much for me. And so like that's where I go to like just throw up my hands and worship him with other people that love him too, but are also just super imperfect. You know what I mean? Like I had to learn it's not about this guy over here, this guy over here. They're not perfect.
Right.
And they probably aren't trying to be, you know what I mean? And like, and so just sort of taking the judgment out of it and just showing up and just worshiping because I'm just so incredibly grateful for what he's done for me, you know, and I've just found such a community there. And it's a really big part of my life. And I want it to be a big part of like my family's life because I didn't have that growing up. And I want my kids to know like which classroom is their room and this leader and this leader over here. And I want it to be just a huge part of life.
Yeah.
And I love it. And I love that we can all have our different things, you know what I mean? But we're still, our lives still consist of these acts of service wherever we're performing them, you know? I love being in recovery, and I love the 12 steps and what all they've taught me. And it's just really taught me to like love other people, you know, so much, because I spent so much time just loving myself, and that was it. Or hating myself. Let's be real.
I had a thought and I've already forgotten about it. What you were just saying. Oh, it made me think Friday night at our meeting, my sponsor actually spoke up. It was a great meeting, and it was just talking about willingness and God. And she talked about like how she had grown up in the church, and I had done that also. And when she got into AA, they were like wanting to talk to her about God, and she was just like, I mean, do you really think you're going to tell me something about God I don't know? You know, and I related to that because that's how I felt. Like look, like we can talk about sobriety, but I know about God. Like I got it under control. And the truth is I had a very like rigid, scary view of God in my life, of just this, if I didn't do things a certain way, like he was punishing me. And I really thought in my addiction that the reason I was struggling so bad was because I was not loving God enough, and that I wasn't doing enough for him. And that was my mentality a lot. And so when I got in treatment and found out that we have this physical thing that's different in us, and that it doesn't have anything to do with my morality or my love for God, it was life-changing for me. And it literally changed my relationship with God in that it became free. Like I didn't feel like I was having to work for him to love me and for the grace he was giving me. And that was probably one of the most freeing things that happened to me in treatment, was for me to realize that who I was to God, like my addiction did not determine that. And I was so thankful for that. And we do have a church community. I don't want it to sound like we're just like not in church. We do.
It didn't sound like that.
We do have a church community. It's just that used to be the end all be all of how I thought I should be. And now it's much broader than that. And I can see that there's other ways to have community that's in Christ that doesn't necessarily look like I'd show up on a Sunday morning. And that is kind of where we are in that relationship and with him. And I love that. And so that's to clarify a little bit on what that looks like for us.
So you hate churches?
Yeah.
Not all of
Basically.
them. Just
Yeah. We got a list now.
So that's interesting though. So I bet you had a really good second step in treatment.
Yes.
Did y'all have to do like the old concept versus the new concept of God, or like what did your second step look like?
I mean, I just remember, so the whole spiritual experience thing, I just remember being on my bed in treatment and just having this feeling of resolve of like, I'm not going to drink anymore. And I will never forget that moment. Like exactly what I had on, exactly the time of day, like all of those things was very real, of just sitting in there and just being like, I literally am never going to do this again. And I know that. And having this feeling of, I guess, like love and power, and knowing that was just God, like showing me that, hey, like we're going to do this. And so, yeah.
Was this your first exposure to 12-step recovery stuff? Was this experience?
So when, like 6 years before, well, no, that's not right. I don't know, when was that? Like,
What are we talking about?
when I like quit drinking for a few years, but yet I was kind of still drinking, but I wasn't working a program. I tried AA, so that was like 2000, like 11ish, 12ish, I think. And so I kind of white knuckled it for a few years, but I mean, I was still in the background struggling. But I had gone to AA a few times, and I really was just like, this is crazy. This is not for me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And, it's timing. I wasn't there yet. I had not hit my bottom. I had not, I needed to go back out and figure it out again. And so I knew a little bit about AA, but coming back from treatment and getting in, it was like I was like, oh my gosh, like who knew that people would sit in a room and share their darkest stuff and just be loved on, or even people laugh with them about it. Like, and to me, that was what church was supposed to be. And I remember thinking like this, they've got this right. Like, this is how it's supposed to be. And so it really, that was when AA, and it just really took off for me.
That's so cool, because I know that like a lot of people, not a lot of people, but some people I've talked to before, they've gone to AA in the past, or they've tried one meeting or something like that, and it just wasn't their vibe. Like, they just weren't feeling it. And so they never went back. And so the fact that you had that experience, and not only did you end up going back, you now have a gym and you have a meeting after one of your workouts. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're not just dipping your toe in.
Right.
So that's really cool. That's a cool testimony to have.
Yeah. So, I mean, and I really do think in all of our stories is timing. I mean, you just have to be where you're ready. And clearly the first time around, I was not ready to hear any of it or feel like I needed to be a part of it or anything. And so versus the second time around, I'd almost lost my family. I mean, there was a sense of desperation of like, I've got to do this and I'm going to do whatever I'm told. And I did. So, yeah.
Yeah, and all the other loss you had already gone through with your former
family.
Your family.
Your whole family.
Yeah, your whole family. That's just, I don't know if we have time to get into it, but just like dealing with that grief. That's maybe it's survivor's remorse, or just like I'm the last one here, or just realizing that like you've only got one shot and when you're gone. That's got to be just some heavy stuff to carry. And does that burden you, or are you kind of?
So more recently, have we had conversations of how, like, I wish I could be this person and know my brothers and sisters. Like, I didn't, like, and I wish that I could go back and have known the right things to say, which, who knows? I mean, who knows? But, like, did they ever have the chance to try recovery? And I just really don't know, have all those answers in that. I mean, I know there was multiple times that they tried to be okay. I will say that there was a lot of ups and downs for all of them, and treatments and all of that. And so I do more now think like, I wish this Erin could have time to talk to them and help them, and so, and that why did I get it right and they didn't? And I think about that a lot. So why am I the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I get that. I lost my dad when I was still in active addiction. I think about that a lot. Like, I wish I could just
I was
be able to get to do this with him.
Because
he was just what he wanted. He wanted just a normal kid that would go to work and make a living, and I just wasn't.
Right.
I wasn't. He was like, I was just a hellion. Yeah. Well, y'all do offer a whole lot of stuff to the person in recovery. So the Wednesday night class is an open class. You sign a waiver; it's free. You have another recovery class like that, or is that the only one?
That's the only recovery class. We do have a Saturday class that's free also. Okay. It's at 9 a.m. It's to anybody. Okay. So whether you're wanting to just try the real CrossFit classes, or if you're someone in recovery and want to use that as a time to get another class in on the week, it's open to anybody. And
I don't want to misspeak, but do you offer a discount to people in recovery?
We do.
What's that like?
So we have a tiered program for them. I'd go into the price details with them individually, but so we start at one rate. I guess
it's about a half price for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
And then we go up.
Then it steps up for the next 3. Yeah. And then after month 6, it's full price.
That's awesome.
So it's like a tiered deal for them to be able to come in for 3 months, see how committed you are, and see if this is something. And usually we've seen they get in there, they get committed, and they're like, well, we're not stopping now. And so they're ready to take that phase 2 of it. And so, because we feel like you're getting, when you're, especially in early recovery, I mean, you're getting back on your feet, you're trying to get your life right, and we want to be a resource for you to be able to help that, but we don't want it to be a burden either. So, we definitely try to.
That's really huge.
Try to provide and meet you where you're at. And, so we want them there, definitely.
One of the coolest things about getting to do this podcast is getting to see other people that are doing different things that are in the recovery world, whether it's another nonprofit that's raising money to put people in treatment and sober living, or whether it's y'all doing something that's really catering to people in early recovery. But we are really, really connected to a lot of different entities. Is there any way we can support y'all in what you're doing? Is there anything y'all are in need of? Are y'all needing more clients? Are you needing a grant for somebody to, I mean, what was there, have y'all thought about anything that y'all might want from the community?
Yeah, so I mean that's a good question. We've actually been throwing around the idea of starting a nonprofit ourselves, like just what that's going to look like, because we just feel like this is endless. Like we feel like where Comeback can go, not just as a gym, but just as a recovery community, is endless. And so we have a lot of dreams down there. Definitely looking into like helping people. If there's somebody that comes in and they're like, hey, I really want to join, is there like providing like a sponsorship? Like, is there another member, or is there another way to help them for a couple of months until then they can start taking over that membership due or whatever? And just having the resources to help people if they're a part of our community. We want to be able to provide them if they're in a need or things like that. And so we're definitely looking at all of that. I don't know if I can give you just a direct answer of how to help us right now. But yeah.
Well,
So.
He's
I
like,
mean-
yeah, you can.
Yeah,
no, just-
yeah. No, he's like, let me
just
talk.
promoting what we're doing.
Yeah,
and
I'm
just
not.
making just awareness.
Yes,
Really
yeah.
is because, you know, it doesn't matter how big the class gets. We're not going to turn anybody away.
That's exactly right.
So
We'll move you outside.
we'll figure it
You
out.
mentioned the guy that got you kind of onto this. He
Yes.
was maybe getting into some treatment centers or something. We're
Yes.
plugged in with all the treatment centers
Yes.
here. I mean, if y'all had a travel trailer and wanted to bring equipment out and talk, I mean, Daniel's working really close with Defining Wellness on a lot of stuff.
Awesome.
I'm sure we can get you out there.
Yeah.
You want to do something, but I mean, that just.
Yeah, we've
but think
definitely
about it.
talked about that. Like, what would it look like to go into a facility like once, twice a week with just a minimal equipment like you saw on Wednesday night? We don't bring barbells out. We don't bring the heavy stuff that requires a lot of technique because we don't want anybody to get hurt. And so we're very careful with that. But yes, we have definitely thought about what it would look like to go into the treatment centers and take some equipment and do like a 30-minute deal with them and get them moving and get their mind set on what that would look like when they got out too. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Bill Wilson, he says mild exercise and a good diet changed things for me pretty quickly, but
Yeah.
he ended up drinking again because
Yeah.
he had 12 steps. But for a moment, it was something else.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
maybe y'all can do that.
Yes,
super
absolutely.
cool, super
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. Just I like getting moving is such a huge part of recovery, and it does so much for my mental health. I know that.
Yes.
And so I just
Yes.
think it's incredible what you guys are doing. You're so cool.
Oh,
You are. I like you so much.
thank
I'm
you.
going to find out where that Monday meeting is and get in there.
Yeah.
Show up with cookies like, hi.
Yes. Well, now you have to come work out. I mean, that's how it goes now.
I said
Wednesday
I'd come
nights
to
at
the
7.
Monday women's meeting.
Yeah.
Okay? No, I'm just kidding. No, I would love to.
Yeah.
And I think it's
you
incredible
should.
what all you are doing. And so I'm grateful you guys came on today. And where can people find you if they're interested?
Okay, so our website's crossfitcomeback.com.
Okay.
That we do not have anything about the recovery class on the website at the time. We just feel like that's a word of mouth. We want to be able to connect with you better versus if you're just going in for a free trial. On the website, we want to be able to know, like, hey, you're in recovery. This is what you're doing. But they can contact me 601-717-2328 and 601-717-2328.
Do you regret it?
Yeah. We'll see. I'll start giving them y'all's numbers. But no, I mean, seriously, just reach out and we want you there and don't be scared. Like, I mean, there's tons of people that are in the community that have shown up that'll tell you don't be scared because we're not going to make you do something you cannot do at all. And I mean, like recently I had a lady say, like, please don't laugh at me. I was like, I promise you, and all the people that have ever come through, we've never laughed at you. We've laughed with you about things, but we will not laugh at you. I mean, our heart is that we want you to come back. We want you to want to be there. And and we want an atmosphere that makes you feel that way and makes you feel like you could do this. And so yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I will close with this. My we had a guest speaker at church this morning, Ben Sticker, and he said something that stuck out to me. And it was, we are called by God. When God does call you to do something, he will like make sure and affirm that in your heart. Like you'll feel that in your heart, like, okay, I was called to do this. And I know that you must have had that affirmation and that feeling.
Absolutely.
And so just all power to you, sister, for taking that seriously and trusting that this was your mission.
Yeah, thank you. I definitely, when the scary parts hit, because you own a business. I mean, when you're self-employed and you own a business, there's no way to not have the fear. And we just always come back to the fact that we know God wanted us to do that. And if that is the case, it's not going to fail. It may not always look exactly like we want it to look or go exactly like we want it to go. And it will be hard at times, but he is not going to allow something to fail that he started. And we know that he started CrossFit Comeback. We know he did. Like, there's no doubt. And we just, thank him every day for that, 100%. So.
That's awesome. You go, girl. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening in today. We have a really good guest next week. Raymond Kennedy is coming on. We're going to be talking about, this is like an episode for the mamas in particular. It's going to be about online pornography and what that's doing to our teenage boys and what we can do to sort of navigate that issue. So y'all tune in and we'll see you next week.